the bhiksus converted him to the path. He cut through his passions and became an arhat. Thus there are circumstances where one conceives the idea of self in reference to another. But under the pretense that there are distinctions between that and this, one cannot say that there is a me. 7. Finally, the true nature of the atman cannot be established with precision. One cannot establish whether it is eternal or transitory, independent or dependent, active or inactive, substantial or non-substantial, and other characteristics of this kind. Where there are characteristics, there is reality. But without characteristics, there is no reality. Since the atman has no characteristics, we know that it does not exist. A. If the atman were eternal, the sin of murder would not exist. Why? The body can be killed because it is transitory, whereas the atman would be indestructible because eternal. Question. Without a doubt, the atman which is eternal cannot be killed, but the sin of murder is only killing the body. Answer. If killing the body were murder, why does the Vinaya say that suicide is not murder? One sin and merit result from evil done to another or good done to another respectively. It is not by taking care of one's own body or by killing one's own body that one gains merit or commits a sin. This is why the Vinaya says that suicide is not a sin of murder but is tainted with ignorance, desire, and hatred. If the atman were eternal, it would not die and would not be reborn. Why? Because according to your system, the atman which is eternal, completely fills the 5 destinies. How would there be birth and death? Death consists of leaving this place, and birth consists of appearing in that place. This is why it cannot be said that the atman is eternal. If the atman were eternal, it would be unable to experience sorrow and happiness. Why? When sorrow prevails, one is sad, and when happiness prevails, one is joyful. But that which is modified by sorrow and joy is not eternal. If the atman were eternal, it would be like space. Rain would not moisten it and heat would not dry it up. There would be no hither or thither in it. If the atman were eternal, it could not be reborn over there or die here. If the atman were eternal, the view of self would exist permanently and one would never be able to attain nirvana. If the atman were eternal, it would be without arising and ceasing and there would be no falsehood or error, for there must be non-self and impermanence for there to be forgetfulness and error. Therefore the atman is not eternal and, for many reasons of this kind, we know that the atman is not eternal. B. If the atman were transitory, there would, again, be neither sin nor merit. The body being impermanent and likewise the atman, both would perish together at death and final annihilation would be reached. Swallowed up in this annihilation, one would not go on to future existences and undergo there the retribution of sins and merits. If this annihilation were nirvana, it would not be necessary to cut the bonds, and one would only commit sins and merits, the causes and conditions of future existences. For many reasons of this kind, we know that the atman is not transitory. C. If the atman were independent and active, it would be able to have everything according to its desires. Now it does not always get what it wants and it often gets what it does not want. If the atman were independent, no one would commit evil deeds and fall into the bad animal destinies. Furthermore, every being hates suffering. But whoever seeks happiness finds suffering. This is how we know that the atman is neither independent nor active. Moreover, out of fear of punishment, people make an effort to practice the good. If it were independent, why would it be forced to cultivate merits out of fear of punishment? Finally, beings do not realize their wishes. They are pulled about by the afflictions and the bonds of craving. For many reasons of this kind, we know that the atman is neither independent nor active. D. Is the atman dependent and inactive? No, those are not the characteristics of the atman. What is called the atman is not different from the 6 consciousnesses. Moreover, if the atman is inactive, why does King Yen Lo 1 ask the fisherman, "Who commanded you to commit this sin?" And the fisherman answered, I myself committed it. This is why we know that the atman is not inactive. It is not correct that the atman is substantial. Why? Because all substance is transitory. Question. Why do people say substantiality is one of my own characteristics? Answer. Some say that the atman resides in the mind and that it is as fine as a mustard grain. Pure, it is called subtle material body. According to other opinions, it is like a grain of wheat, a bean half an inch high, an inch high. One as soon as it takes on a body, it resumes its former form, the way the skeleton of an elephant, when it has reached its complete form, is like that of the entire elephant. Some say that the size of the subtle body corresponds to that of the human body and that after death the dimensions reappear. But all of that is wrong. Why? Because all matter is made of the four great elements. Being the result of causes and conditions, all matter is impermanent. If the atman were material, since matter is transitory, the atman too would be transitory. For this hypothesis, see what has been said above. Question. There are two types of bodies, the coarse body and the subtle body. The coarse body is transitory, but the subtle body is the atman. Eternally it passes from existence to existence and penetrates the five destinies. 1. Answer. This subtle body does not exist. If the subtle body existed, there should be a place where it could be found, as is the case for the five internal organs or the four parts of the body. But we may search for it everywhere without finding it. Question. This subtle body is extremely fine. At death, when it has gone, how would you see it if, during life, you couldn't find it? Besides, the five organs can neither see nor cognize this subtle body. Only the Arya endowed with the superknowledges could see it. Answer. If that is so, it is no different than nothing at all. When a person, at the moment of death, abandons the aggregates of the present existence to enter into the aggregates of the intermediate existence, there is no relationship of anteriority or posteriority between the moment when the body of the actual existence disappears and when it assumes the body of the intermediate existence. The birth occurs at the same time as the disappearance. It is as if one presses a wax seal onto clay and, the clay having received the imprint were to be broken at once. The impression and the disappearance of the imprint are simultaneous, without anteriority or posteriority. At the very same moment when one takes on the aggregates and the mode of being of the intermediate existence, one abandons the aggregates of the intermediate existence to assume the mode of being of existence birth. You say that the subtle body constitutes this intermediate existence, but this alleged body of intermediate